But with that out of the way, we're back at it with our 2010s Tourney picks. We've narrowed down the 64 films. We've sort of picked some of them, and again, just for a reminder for anybody listening for the first time, most of the picks will happen in March, just because that's when "quote unquote" March Madness happens. So definitely stick around for that. But we have some good picks of films today. A cream of the crop is what a person who works with cows would say, maybe, or a farmer. I don't know. But we got Room versus La La Land, the Lighthouse versus Lego Movie, and then a 2019 versus 2019 battle, Uncut Gems versus Rocketman. And again, if you're getting mad at me for the rankings on this tourney, I didn't make it. I just went off Letterboxd's ranking, so I'm sorry. But with that said, I'll let Margot go first with Room versus La La Land.
Ooh, okay. So, all my friends at school try to shame me for liking La La Land, but I really enjoyed it. And then I just watched Room recently, and goddamn, holy shit, what a film! And so I really like both of these movies, but I think I have to give it to Room.
Oh wow! Okay, so Room coming in punching.
I just love Brie Larson.
Everybody knows Brie Larson is aggressive. You saw the way she treated that man in Captain Marvel, the deleted scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, stop it.
No, Brie Larson's rad. She's the best. One of I obviously, like, she's fully broken out at the end of this decade. But going from literally a no name to being thrust into, like, oh, most people know who Brie Larson is. Really cool. With that said, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with La La Land. I really like Room. It just doesn't. I don't know. This may be a case of it being like really hyped for me because so many people were saying, "Oh, Room is amazing. Room is amazing. It's like one of the best films of this year," which is unfair to Room. I think I'll probably go back again. I really love the performances of Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay, but I'm giving it to La La Land. So, Lindsay, you gotta break this tie.
Okay, this is hard because I actually do like La La Land. I mean, there's a lot that I don't like about it, but I did overall really enjoy it, even though I stand Moonlight.
You can like both.
I know, but every time I mention either of them, people like
someone has to be. Oh well, I like La La Land better.
Yeah, exactly. Like they always get compared. But I think I'm gonna go with Room as well.
Wow!
It really
giant out.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
I really like both. I think that Room is probably a stronger movie with better performances. If Ryan Gosling had been better, I think I might have gone with La La Land, but his performance bothers me so much. So sorry, I have to go with Room.
I love Ryan Gosling.
I love him normally. I just didn't think he was right for that movie.
I mean, it was about to be Miles Teller, so
that's not good either.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we got the better version at least. But no, I think like what's interesting about this is literally like people use the phrase for football where it's like any given Sunday anyone can win. And I really like the way our tourney's been structured so far because depending on like who I have as hosts come on and whichever films like we have seen, it just feels crazy because literally we had Hereditary and The Master lose last week. And obviously, like, I told my friends, like my close friends that, and they're like, "You've got to be kidding me. Like, those are two of the best movies." But you know, isn't that the fun of like a tourney that things can spoil each other?
Yeah.
Which I really like so far. But Room makes it. Awesome possum. And with that said, I am up first with the Lighthouse versus the Lego Movie. Two very similar films, both shot in 4:3, of course. You all saw that copy of the Lego Movie, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I have voiced some of my criticisms with the Lighthouse. That is not to say if you enjoy the Lighthouse, that is not to take away anything at all. Again, just to reiterate that I completely understand, and that's valid. But with that said, the Lego Movie is one of my favorite theater experiences of all time. I think I saw it like 3 or 4 times in the theater. It was one of those movies that got played in high school for me, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just throw on the Lego Movie." Also, was Despicable Me, so like those two were constantly like, "Oh, we have an off day and the test is done. We're throwing on one of these movies." Lego Movie keeps working for me. Really love it. But with that said, that's enough of me talking about my Legos. Lindsay, what is your pick among these two L movies?
I know, this is also really hard because they're so different.
They're not similar at all.
What do you mean? You don't remember in the Lego Movie when the girl character was like, "Let Neptune strike ye dead, Emmett."
You don't remember when Willem Dafoe himself shows up in Lego Movie to ask if Emmett likes his steak?
I think I'm gonna go with the Lighthouse.
Ooh.
I've loved the Lighthouse. I thought it was really, really funny. And it's just so unique and weird. So it's just like really cool that a movie like that exists, and I love it. The Lego Movie was like insanely awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Better than I was expecting, but I do still have issues with the story overall because I don't like movies about a chosen guy who's somehow better than the way more competent female character.
Whoa, hold up. I feel like the Lego Movie's playing on that.
The Lego Movie 2 acknowledged it as a flaw. But they definitely did that trope.
But he's clearly not worthy. They did. Like, he's just some
I know, I still love the movie.
Okay, no, that's
But, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lighthouse.
Alright, that's fair. You're coming at my boy Emmett.
No, I'm sorry. It's just that he's like he had no skills at all, and they're like, "Oh, he's the hero," even though she was like way more competent in every way. So I did love that they acknowledged that in the sequel, where they were like, "Oh, you did everything."
No, but Margot, you're gonna be the one to decide this tie.
Yep.
What is your pick?
Well, I really liked the Lighthouse, and I really like Lego Movie. They're very similar. Almost exactly the same. But like being an animation student, I really gotta go with Lego Movie. Like it's just so it's so pretty, and it looks so good, and the animations like it looks like stop motion when it's 3D. And I didn't like the thing you brought up with like how Emmett is useless, but he's somehow more competent than the more competent girl. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I think it's like a really enjoyable story, and there's like parts where you can like ignore it and just have a grand old time.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do like that movie, so I'll go with this.
And like one of the things that I love about, obviously, like I can understand how that's a little bit of a deterrent of the movie. But one of like the big things that I felt with this is like I get the whole like, whoa, wasn't it crazy when Avengers happened and like heroes came together? But this literally like, okay, I get there's probably like 2 people that actually got hyped for this, but seeing Gandalf and Shaquille O'Neal in the same movie, like I was so hyped. I was like, they're literally pulling out every character like in the Lego arsenal. So yeah, Lord and Miller taking down Eggers. But with that said, Lindsay, you are up first. We got the 2019 versus 2019 films. I can't tell what Lindsay would pick out of these 2 films, but we have Uncut Gems in one corner and our boy Elton John, the Rocketman, in the other. Lindsay, what would your pick be?
Gotta say, this is a really tough decision for me. I'm gonna have to think long and hard on this one. I'm going with Rocketman.
What?
I'm sorry, Uncut Gem stands. But Rocketman is a masterpiece. I didn't not like Uncut Gems. It's certainly a movie.
It certainly is.
It is a really good movie. It's just not for me as good as I was expecting it to be. And Rocketman exceeded any expectation I had for it. It's a great musical, a great biopic, because it's different than most biopics, and it's beautifully shot. Like, the cinematography does not get talked about enough. It's so cool. And I love the transitions between scenes. Like, when he, like, flies up as an actual rocket man, and then he, like, explodes in a firework, and then he, like, all of a sudden is in the airplane that he crashed into, and he's still, like, smoking and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just really fun and creative, and I love Rocketman so much.
I wonder how Rocketman got into this tourney.
I wonder. I don't know. Someone really, really cool must have picked it.
It was Lindsay's personal pizza of a pick. So no surprise. But Margot, what's going to be your pick out of these two?
I really liked Uncut Gems. I didn't really have that many expectations for it. I was just neutral. But I was like, wow, I'm really stressed out. But this is great. And when I saw Rocketman for the first time, or the only time I've ever seen it, I was like, I can't believe Bohemian Rhapsody is also considered a musical biopic compared to this. And I thought it was like solid, but as time has gone on, I'm like, oh, it was so good. Like, I listen to the soundtrack like literally every day. And I think
it's
about
such a good soundtrack.
I think about the
Just
Honky
Lindsay
Cat
giving you
sequence all the
subliminal
time.
messages.
Like, the Honky Cat part really, like, pushed me over the edge of, like, this is what musical biopics should be like. Like,
Yes.
it's so good. So I have to choose Rocketman.
Yes.
Sweet. That wraps it up. Rocketman. Dexter Fletcher joining the mix of directors that are making it into the second round. I would have, for those that wanted to know, Uncut Gems is a bizarre film for me, and it honestly feels like a misstep by the Safdies in my eyes. And I saw a completely different movie than everybody else. It's okay. With that said, I actually really love Rocketman. And I think one of the biggest things, Lindsay's right. Like, it is getting overlooked for things like cinematography and specifically costume design. I feel like it should be the front runner for that. And unfortunately, it's not, because the Oscars are like, oh, hey, you wear suits. That's cool.
Just normal suits.
Yep.
Just
a singular suit.
Yep.
They went to Macy's and they bought a suit.
Or one purple suit in a clown mask, which, again,
I thought it was red.
I like the joke. Whatever color it is.
What kind of Joker stan are you?
I'm just saying, like, this movie, like, went above and beyond when it really didn't need to. And it just shows, I think, at the end of it, very similarly to Honey Boy, because these are two films that I'd sort of compare to each other. I don't think it likes to hide anything from it, but I also think it values itself as sort of a learning experience, almost, to say, like, okay, even though, like, there were a ton of bad things that happened into my life, those still shaped me into the powerful human being I am today. Which I don't know. Rocketman is
beautiful.
Yeah, it is a really
so
beautiful
good
film. And it's just so upsetting. Obviously, you mentioned Bohemian Rhapsody, and of course it's going to be tied to Bohemian Rhapsody for the end of time, because they're so close to each other in release date. And Bohemian Rhapsody is a film that I like, and most of that is because I am the biggest, like, I love Queen so much. I'm probably not the biggest Queen fan, because there's people that go way harder. But with that said, like, Queen is one of my favorite bands ever. And if you put Queen songs in the movies, like, of course I'm going to dig it somewhat.
I actually did also like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I know, I'm sorry. There's so many valid criticisms, but I just can't help having a good time.
Yeah,
You're valid.
I completely understand, like, the editing's bad. The costumes, they don't really, like, what boggles my mind is you have a band like Queen, who is very, like, interesting in their music process. They had such a flamboyant lead singer, and you don't really show anything that embraces that.
It wasn't gay enough.
No, it was not.
Rocketman, however.
So, yes.
Rocketman, however.
But yeah, no, that's gonna do it. So the 3 films that are moving on are, of course, the aforementioned Rocketman, directed by Dexter Fletcher. Then we have the Lego Movie by Lord and Miller. And then we have Room by Lenny Abrahamson. And I can't remember if this. Oh no, he directed Frank and a couple other projects before. What an interesting career going from Frank to Room. But that's gonna do it for this week. Do you guys, just curious, do you have things that you could recommend to people or not?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
I do.
It can be anything. It can be a movie, game, art, song, music. Why did I say song and music? But anyway, I'm going to let Lindsay do that thing. Something you want to recommend this week? Obviously, it's going to be Doolittle.
Oh man, no! I saw 2 movies today. I had to cleanse my soul after seeing Doolittle, and I saw Les Miserables, and holy shit! Like, I can understand why France chose this over Portrait.
Ooh.
It was a very, very powerful movie and really important. And I just recommend that if it's anywhere near you, I do think that you should try to go see it because it's amazing. And I was so tense and my heart was racing the entire time. And it was nothing like how I thought it was going to be. And I just think it's a really, really important film.
Nice. The one thing I have to ask is this is what I assumed happened because people were talking about, oh, how could France pick Les Mis over a Portrait? Is this like in France? It's very like embracing of the France culture.
Oh yeah,
different. Okay, see,
it focuses a lot on like racial tensions and like police brutality and corruption in France.
I just feel like that's one of those weird picks where like the what's it called? The documentary category sort of does the same thing, even though like Apollo 11 is a like groundbreaking documentary. It's really interesting. There's just a lot more others that like have more of an importance to the documentary category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that they're only allowed to pick one. I think that should be changed because there's been a lot of years where like
yeah, no, completely, I agree.
And I didn't know about that rule till like 2 years ago, and I was like, wait, what? Like,
yeah, I completely agree because I do think both should have been considered and both are very strong, but I can understand their choice to go with Les Miserables.
But Margot, do you have something to recommend for anything you've consumed this week?
I bought Ring Fit Adventure on the Switch. It's like a workout game, and I don't really work out, but it's like doing a good job at making me work out, and it's really fun. So I'd recommend that.
Nice. That buff legend.
Hell yeah, you know it.
Skimbleshank status one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be so healthy. I'm gonna look like Skimbleshanks by the end of the year.
Can't wait.
I just imagine going on Margot's Instagram saying Skimbleshanks 2020 just as her motivation.
Yeah.
With the Ring Fit in the background. I have a couple of I've seen some good stuff this week. But what I'm going to recommend is Weathering with You. And weirdly enough, if you're listening to this still, it is a really interesting film, and also it's from Makoto Shinkai. And me and Esteban did a bonus podcast on Makoto Shinkai's filmography. He's a really interesting director. That unfortunately, it's one of those weird cases where he gets lumped into being the next Hayao Miyazaki, and there's like so much like, oh gosh, I can't imagine like just starting to make films and being like, oh yeah, he's going to be the next greatest like animator, like one of the greatest animators ever. And it's like, oh, please stop.
Yeah.
But he's a really interesting guy. And Weathering with You is a film that I thoroughly enjoyed. If you want to check out more of our thoughts, you can check out our review or the bonus episode that will be posted later in the feed. But yeah, no, that's going to be my recommend. Also, be on the lookout for Forum Film Friday because we got a cool one coming soon. Cool. But that's going to do it. We podcasted Now this is podcasting. Doing the,
Oh my
the-
God,
We
stop it.
We podcasting with
Yeah.
the hand over my face.
But that's gonna do it. If you guys want to find us on Twitter, you can do so at All That Film Pod. If you guys want to find us on YouTube, either All That Film or All That Film Podcast. And if you guys want to check out our website, so you can see all of the cool pics for the tourney, you can do so at allthatfilmpodcast.wordpress.com. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If you want to be on an episode, feel free to message us on email at allthatfilm1@gmail.com. Thank you, Margot and Lindsay. And thank you, dear listener. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.